Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Ian Foster. I'm the Co-General Chair of Services 2021. This event was supposed to be in Chicago, where I'm located, but of course we're online instead. But welcome to the conference. We have an exciting program that spans many topics, speakers, time zones, countries. Putting this together has been a remarkable adventure that has engaged dozens of volunteers, scores of speakers. I can't thank all of them by name, but in addition to my co-chair, Ron Chang, I'd like to acknowledge in particular the chair of the Services Steering Committee, Carl Chang, and our two overall program chairs, Gia Zhang and Ernesto Damiani. Of course, we also have a remarkable array also of program chairs and organizers for the individual workshops. So a great program ahead of us. Thanks to the underlying platform, it's remarkably easy to navigate in my experience. So I encourage you to watch as much as you possibly can and to engage in sessions, ask questions, debate with the speakers. In the meantime, welcome again and enjoy the event.
Hi, welcome to the Ichipue Services 2021. And I'm grateful to be the Congress General Co-Chair with Ian. And adding to what Ian just said, and I would like to acknowledge the Ichipue Computer Society and Ichipue Transactions on Service Computing and Ichipue Technical Committee on Services Computing for creating this first-of-kind journal first C2 track at this year's Ichipue services. This is really a historical milestone for the Congress and also for the community. Then this year we continue our past tradition to keep innovating ourselves for the community. For example, we created the International Conference on Digital Health. That the timing cannot be better in terms of the pandemic situation we are in right now. And we also created a special paper award this year to advocate and promote several important research things like quantum software and services, like a cloud and HPC convergence, and several other things like software service engineering and how that is integrated with the current cloud AI challenges. More that we also have a very encouraging diversity and the inclusion initiative for this year. For example, we created the IEEE Symposium on Young Experts in Service Computing this year. And we also have a special Women in Service Computing Scholarship this year. And it has more than 40 submissions for the award just for this first year. So both of them have been held yesterday, and the videos will be available today or tomorrow, depends on your time zone. And so please do watch them when you have time. I really be proud and be grateful to be a part of the community when I join those sessions. Last but not least, I would like to echo my sincere appreciation for all the steering committee members for making this the event be innovative and valuable for all the committees, for all the members of the committee. So I hope you enjoy the event.
Hi, my name is Carl Chen. I'm the steering committee chair for IEEE Services. It is my privilege and honorable duty now to introduce IEEE Computer Society President Forrest Schull. Dr. Forrest Schull is the lead for Defense Software Acquisition Policy Research at the Carnegie Mellon University Software Engineering Institute, SEI. He leads the SEI technical response to the Department of Defense in support of several important activities, including congressionally mandated initiatives to improve acquisition by incorporating modern software development practices. Dr. Schull joined SEI after serving 15 years at the Fraunhofer USA, which is a nonprofit research and technology transfer organization, where he established and was director of the Measurement and the Knowledge Management Division. His research work with NASA won a Group Achievement Award in recognition of the significant impact on NASA software products and for advancing the state-of-the-art of the software industry. He is an author of over 100 peer-reviewed publications. Dr. Schull is the current 2021 president of the IEEE Computer Society. He has served on the Society's Board of Governors and the Executive Committee since 2015. In these roles, he has led and been a key participant in various initiatives aimed at instituting more data-driven decision-making and transforming the society to better address the current needs of its members. As an internationally well-known scholar in software engineering, from 2011 to 2014, he served as editor-in-chief of IEEE Software, the premier publication of IEEE Computer Society for bridging software research and practice. So, without overdue, let's now welcome President Schull to deliver his opening remark.
Great. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for those very nice opening introduction, and thank you for the invitation to be here today, because it's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to speak for a few minutes about the Computer Society to the audience here today. This is a really auspicious occasion, actually, because not only is IEEE Services, of course, one of our, as Rong said, very innovative, one of our very important conferences, but it's a nice time to look back and make the connection, because this is the 75th anniversary of the IEEE Computer Society. And so I've been using this as a good opportunity to look back, understand where we've come from, but more than that, to look forward, to understand where we're going in the future. And as Rong and Ian have said already today, we're in very unusual times. The global pandemic has really created a lot of challenges. And as we as a society have been adapting to that, it's been really a pleasure and a joy to see so much innovation and so much good thinking on behalf of the volunteers and staff that are involved in all of this. So if you could go to the next slide for me, please. I'm going to talk just for a few minutes today about some of our initiatives in the Computer Society and some of the strategic thrust areas I've been trying to lead this year as I've been president. But beyond all that, beyond the initiatives, beyond the conferences themselves, beyond all the other things that we do, I think it's important to step back and just remember that the IEEE Computer Society is at heart a community. And as Carl said, one of the important things that we do in our leadership roles for the society is making sure that it's meeting the needs of the community. And so I put some numbers here again as our 75th anniversary rolls around. It's instructive, I think, to look and understand, the scope of the society, that we are serving not only the computer community writ large, but also a number of different subdomains within that. The specialized communities within all of us make our mark, do our work, kind of do our day-to-day job activities. So it's useful, I think, to look at the size of the society, the size of the number of professionals, I guess, that we're serving. Over 225,000 people are accessing our content, coming to our conferences, getting in some way some benefit from what the society is doing and pushing out our technical information. But we're doing that in a global way. We're addressing that in over 168 countries. We have 581 chapters, and it's probably more than that now since they're starting up all the time. But those chapters are the ones that are providing kind of the local connection, so that if you're interested in seeing what the community as a whole is doing, for sure, you can do that through our conferences, through our publications. But also, for many of us, there's a local chapter, which is serving the needs of the local community. And so if you haven't, I encourage you to take a look around and see what might be happening in your neighborhood as well, where we might be having a connection. Next slide, please. Again, since it's our 75th, and looking back at where we've come from, I think it's useful to say, we're all here for IEEE Services today. Services is one of our over 210 technical conferences that we put on every year. We're serving 65,000 attendees annually, and that's been true not only from the before times, but also during the pandemic as well. And so I'm very, very grateful and humbled by all the good activity that, again, our volunteers have put on to be able to hold conferences like this one today. If you're like me, that picture on the right of kind of our conferences in the before times with people gathering in person instills a sense of longing. I certainly hope to get back to that, and a little bit of discomfort, given that we've been trained away from that kind of activity at the moment. But I will say that I'm very grateful for the organizers of IEEE Services being able to continue that kind of community service, that opportunity to bring our communities together in events like this one certainly has been very challenging during the pandemic. As Ian said, there's a lot of extra stress that goes on with this. Not only are we putting on great events, bringing in very important thought leaders and people that are doing important work for the field so that they can share that content with the rest of us, but we're doing that at a time with additional challenges, and trying to manage all this virtually has had its own set of obstacles that we're addressing. At the same time, I like to believe that there's been some good things that have come out. We've certainly learned, I think, how to do virtual events much better than we ever dared to do before. And what I've seen in my role as president this year is that one of the niceties of that, one of the benefits that we didn't expect, is that it has been more inclusive, that more people around the world are able to be part of these community events than was ever true when it involved travel and conference registrations, that were kind of based on the idea that we were all going to be there in person. So as we go forward, and I guess sadly it will be more next year's president who will be hopefully getting us back to more in-person activities. But as we go forward and do that and have the chance to see each other in person, I certainly hope that some of the benefits, that inclusivity, that allowance of people around the world to participate more fully and actively in our events will continue as well. That'll be one of our challenges we address next year, I hope. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. At the same time, so I've mentioned our chapters, I've mentioned our conferences. Hopefully you're familiar with all of the publications that the Computer Society sponsors and puts out, both the transactions and the transactions and the magazines, because they serve very different audiences. But I had the privilege last year of leading our strategic planning activity for the Society. And so some of the new activities, some of the areas that we're investing in are shown here on the slide to make sure that we really are serving the entire community, as I said earlier. We've identified some areas where we really needed to redouble our efforts. And so I'll just talk briefly about those. They're the ones here on the slide in a moment. But I'll also say that, again, I really appreciate the work that the IEEE Services volunteer leadership have done, because as I've gotten involved and looked at the conference and understood what's happening over the course of the week, I really see them as thought leaders in all these areas already. And so that's been really, again, I'm always appreciative of all the effort that goes on and all the effort that our volunteers put into these things. But the areas where we've been kind of redoubling our efforts to make outreach and serve other parts of the community include industry engagement. So we've been looking not only at our, at the research and how we feature that content and make sure that the research community is able to share and benefit from those experiences, but trying to make sure that we're getting the outreach to the day-to-day workers who could be getting more benefit from understanding where the state of the art is really going. So what I've shown there is an InTech forum that we had last year. Last year we focused on a very timely topic, which was how technology is helping us address the COVID-19 challenges that we're all facing today. This year we've again focused on a very timely area, which is understanding the role of social media in these, what I like to call societal scale software and computing systems, and how they're, for both good and bad, I think we've seen a lot of challenges and a lot of risk areas, addressing things and making things happen at a societal scale. So if you're interested in that topic, please go to our website. There's information there. That forum will be happening later this month. But again, I see this as making sure that the computer society is part of the conversation in these very timely and important areas. Certainly diversity and inclusion, and Rong already mentioned some of the awards that are trying to highlight areas of underrepresented members of our community and making sure that their efforts are appreciated and called attention to as much as possible. So that's an area that we've been investing a lot of effort in across the society, trying to make sure that we're appreciating and being inclusive as possible. But I'd also like to call attention to things like the IEEE software special issue there, because I think diversity within our fields is also an area of scientific inquiry in its own right. And trying to understand how we got here and how we do it better is not only something that we do as volunteers, but also something that's worth scholarly impact and scholarly input. So that's an example of some of the areas where we've, I think, been able to foster that type of inquiry. And I expect great things coming from all of that. And then finally, making sure that we're tied in with the next generation of leaders. Making sure that we're tied in and that we as a society are addressing the needs of the up and coming generation, as well as of the folks that are well established in their careers already. And with that in mind, I'm very much looking forward to the awards ceremony on Friday and being able to see some of the good research and the important impactful work that gets highlighted and has the chance to get some additional attention here at IEEE Services then. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so with that, I would like to get off the stage and get on to the important, impactful keynote talks. But before I go, I did just want to mention, if I could leave you with one last thought, and that is for my own work here in Carl, in his very nice introduction, mentioned the work that I do in government forums. What I see, particularly in the US, and I hope in other places as well, is that there's more of a recognition of how impactful and how important to our societies computing technology has been. I see more interest than ever before from places like the US Congress, from our representatives and legislators, from our elected and appointed officials, trying to make sure that we and the government side are catching up and understanding all of this impactful technology and the role that it needs to play for us. And there's a lot of ways in which the society is trying to make sure that we're addressing that our expertise, that our subject matter experts are part of that conversation and helping to make sure that we're having an impact in a larger sense in terms of understanding where the technology is going, but also what's feasible and what's impactful to do today. And so if I could leave you with one thought, it's to think of some of the other activities or the other opportunities that are here on the slide that maybe we don't often think about in our day-to-day activities. What we're seeing is that the standards work that we do through the society, for example, is more impactful than ever, because the standards, again, technically underpinning for sure, but that's where a lot of the different communities come together and argue and have a chance to come to consensus about what makes sense. What are the standards that we want to hold ourselves to across different communities, across government, across industry, across academia, and making sure that those are informed as much as possible by the right technical expertise, by the folks that have the in-depth knowledge of the field, is, I think, one of the important things that we do as a society that's sometimes underappreciated. Secondly, the technology roadmaps. One area that we've been starting to do more and more of is taking the opportunity for some of our thought leaders to look at where their individual communities are coming. So we've done one for software engineering, trying to chart out the future for the next 10 to 15 years of where the technology is likely to go. What are the underlying research areas that require attention? My predecessor as president, Tom Conti, has done a similar type of thing for what he calls rebooting computing. So looking at the computing infrastructure, and sensors and processors and where all that technology is leading and what it's making available. And I'd like to see more of that within the society. So if you have additional thoughts or additional opportunities, please come to the website, look for our technical communities and where you might be able to get involved there. Because I find that those types of roadmaps, although the specifics are usually not quite right, we're not, we don't have the crystal ball that says where the technology is going specifically, but the activity itself and trying to understand where our communities are going and what we need to pay attention to is very insightful and helpful in and of itself. And then finally, of course, the Computer Society is a society, it's a community. It needs to be responsive to the needs of the members. But one of the ways for doing that is for the members to volunteer, to come into the leadership, to run for a seat on the Board of Governors, to lead a chapter, to lead one of our publications. There's a number of different opportunities. We're always looking for good and energized volunteers. And it's one of the things I've always found that sets our volunteers apart in terms of their resume. It's an opportunity to get leadership chops that make you look different from the rest of the competition that's out there. So if you're interested in that, again, come to the website, take a look. We're always interested in getting connected to the energized folks that are deep technical experts. And with that, if you could go one more slide, please. I'll just leave you here. We're on social media, of course. We have the website where all this comes together. I hope that I've whetted your appetite a little bit. I hope you're interested in coming to see things, find out more of what the society is doing. But with that, let me get off the stage and turn things back over. And I'm looking forward to a very exciting and dynamic IEEE services this week. So thank you all. Thank you for your attention. And thank you, Rong and Carl, for the opportunity to speak today.